It's no secret that one of the most important documents you're ever going to have to work on is your resume. It's the first thing a recruiter or a hiring manager is going to see, and it can make or break whether you get selected for an interview. Over the years, I've had so many different versions of my resume, but I can honestly say without a doubt in my mind that the best and most effective resume that I've ever had is the one that I have right now. Not only has it just worked for me, but I've shared the tips that I'm going to share today with some friends, and they've gotten compliments on their resume from hiring managers or jobs that they were applying to. So today I want to talk about 3 ways to make your resume stand out.
Hey, what's up? My name is Whitney. I have many passions. I call them my Passioniplets, and career management's one of them.
Before I dive into the 3 tips, I want to start off with a little story that really influenced me to make my resume stand out in the first place. A long time ago, no, I'm just kidding. It was actually just a year ago. 1 year ago, I was in a class at the University at Buffalo. It was a technical writing course. It had a heavy emphasis on career and resume building. So I was like, yes, sign me up. Let's do it right now. The professor that I had one day, he had us come in and he said, okay, next class, bring your resume. We're gonna do like a critique. And I was like, oh, this is great. I got it down. I had been working on my resume. I had my internship supervisor look at it. I had people in the industry that I was trying to get into look at it. I had previous employers look at it. I was so sure that my resume was gonna be bomb, and then I got to class and I learned a lot that day actually. So what the professor had us do was take our resumes and put it in the middle of the classroom in a circle on the floor. And he said, I want everybody to walk around the room and look at the resumes and just take a minute, take it all in, look at the resumes and collect some thoughts about them. So I'm in the class walking around the resumes. I'm like, oh yeah, look at my resumes right there. Then I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a lot of resumes here and some people have some stuff different going on. What is that? Next, he asked us to point out resumes that stood out. So I'm like, okay, well, Jimmy over here has his name in big letters, and Susie over here has color on hers, and I've always been told those were big no-nos. Then my professor says, now I want you to imagine you're a hiring manager at a company. Not only are you trying to hire people for different positions, but you might be responsible for other things. Think about what resume you would pick if you have a bunch of other tasks to be doing at the time and you need to pass on some qualified candidates. So I'm looking and I'm like, okay, like my resume, I know it has great information on it. I know it's written very well, but like my resume, it blends in with everybody else's. It's not standing out at all. What my professor said next is something that has stuck with me, even though this was a year ago, it's something that I think about all the time. He said, you have to remember that the hiring manager is human. They have other responsibilities to do, and human factors are gonna take over when they're trying to do their job, including picking out of a sea of resumes for a job that they need to fill. So it's important to do something to your resume that makes it stand out. And that just made so much sense to me. I was like, yeah, like imagine I have 50 resumes in front of me and I want to go through all of them, but maybe I'm going to pick some that have color first. And then I'm like, okay, I'll look at those more in depth, but with 50 black and white resumes, like, and 5 of them are color, I might be drawn to the ones that are in color just because that is something as humans we're drawn to. And that is what truly spearheaded like my initiative to have a resume that stood out. After this class, I was like, okay, like my resume is too bland. It gets lost in the sea of resumes. I can't have that happening. Like I know I'm a great candidate. I know I have good information on that resume, but I need to make this stand out. I need to stand out from the rest. I can't get lost in the sea of resumes. That is, I can't. Like I don't want that. That is a no, I don't want that. Having told you that story, now I want to share with you the 3 ways to make your resume stand out. Tip number 1 to make your resume stand out is make it pop. So when I say make your resume pop, I immediately mean modernize your resume, or what I like to call make your resume a new age resume. I like to describe the modern resume as a resume with personality. For me, it's a resume that's colorful, it's organized, and it's gonna stand out against other resumes that might not have those aspects to them. So my go-to source for making my resume a modern resume is called novoresume.com. 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 It makes making your resume all modern, so easy, so simple. It's truly like such a great resource.
So I just wanted to take a moment to actually go to novaresume.com. We can take a look at my documents here. This is my most up-to-date resume. As you can see, it's very modern. The layout is organized. I have a color that I use, and I also use this color on my cover letter. But they have tons of different layouts to choose from. You can rearrange what items go where. You can pick different layouts that way, and you can also pick different themes, different colors. So overall, it's just a really great resource.
Tip number 2 to make your resume stand out is to have it proofread. Having your resume proofread is literally so important. I don't know if you've ever been writing something and you're trying to proofread it yourself, and you'll read it one time and you're like, okay, then you'll read it the second time and you're like, where did that word come from? Then you'll read it a third time and you're like, wait, wasn't that word just there and now it's gone? And it's like when you're writing and you're looking at something for a really long time, sometimes you'll add words in on accident, or you'll read stuff as if the words that you want are there, but they're not. So having it proofread is super important. You can call your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin, your friend, whoever, and just say, hey, like, can you take a look at this and read this and let me know if you notice any grammatical errors for like an easy, quick, like baseline, like proofread. Like, I would just say call anybody. If you want to take it to the next level and make your resume almost cater toward the industry you're trying to work for, I would say reach out to a professional and have them look at your resume. When I say have a professional look at your resume, I mean ask people around you. If you're in school, that would be like a professor or an internship supervisor to look at your resume. And when I say professor, I think maybe somebody that is teaching within the industry or has worked in the industry that you want to work in. Another step further is reaching out to people on LinkedIn or online that are professionals established in the industry you want to work in, and politely asking them to look at your resume. It's as simple as writing an email or messaging somebody on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I'm trying to become a professional in the industry that you work in, and I was wondering if you might have some time to look over my resume and let me know what you think. If you could share some feedback or advice with me, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Your name. Reaching out to a professional online achieves 2 awesome things. 1, you're getting advice from a professional within an industry you want to work in, so they've obviously done this before. They have the expertise and the knowledge, and they know what works. 2, you're making a connection. They see that you care about the industry that you want to work in, and that could lead to them offering you a job. One time I reached out to somebody online and I said, hey, like, I'm trying to learn about the PR industry, like, would you have some time to talk to me so I could learn a little bit more about your background and what you did? And the phone call literally resulted in her saying, I'm going to pass your information along for an internship. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. So just to summarize, tip number 2, have somebody look at your resume, aunt, uncle, cousin, somebody that is a friend that can just grammatically look at it. Take it a step further. This is what I recommend as the best practice. Find a professional in the industry you want to work in and politely ask them to look at your resume. Moving on to the final tip, tip number 3, put your resume online. Now, I know you're thinking, Whitney, what do you mean by put my resume online? I mean, make yourself a personal branded website and put your resume online. Now you might be thinking, Whitney, I'm not a marketer. I don't need a resume online. Or maybe you're like, Whitney, wow, that's a really good idea. I want to do marketing and I'm going to do that. No matter what career or industry you want to work in, there are a few reasons why I still recommend you put your resume online. Similar to what I started out talking with in the beginning about how the hiring manager is human and human factors are going to take over. When people are hiring, like, it matters if they like you. Like, you can have all the experience in the world, but they also, like, it's gonna matter if they like you, if they vibe with you, like, as a person, if they like you. So if you can get a hiring manager to go to a website and you can add your personal information about yourself within the website while still sharing your resume, that will humanize you as a candidate, and that could lead to you getting hired for the job.
So I thought it'd be a great idea to just show you guys my personal website, and this is the website I used when I was applying for jobs. So I own the domain whitneysingleton.com. I have a little picture of me. I have some social here that I'm comfortable sharing. And then I have a little blurb about myself and my resume. So if you click on this button, you can get a copy of my resume there. And I also share some of the skills and examples of those skills, some visual content that I've made. This is very, I feel like, marketing oriented, obviously, because I'm a marketer, but it doesn't have to be something simple, just like Having a picture of yourself, a little blurb about yourself, and a way to get your resume, I think can get the job done. And if you have examples of projects or maybe reviews that you've gotten that you would like to showcase, you can definitely share that here as well.
Two methods that I use to get hiring managers to my website are I put it in my cover letter and I mention it during the interview. In my cover letter, in the last paragraph, it says something along the lines of, "Thank you so much for reading my cover letter. I hope to hear from you soon. If you want to learn a little bit more about me or download another copy of my resume, you can check out my website, www.whitneysingleton.com." The other time I do it is when I'm in an interview. So if I can somehow squeeze it in and say, "Oh yeah, like if you want to check that out, like you go to my website, www.whitneysingleton.com, like there's a copy of it right there." Or if I'm like, "Oh, if you want to download like another copy, I have copies of my resume right here, but also like if you want to download it and just have it on your computer, like you can go to my website and get it from there." So those are two ways that I kind of slide it in there, not being like, "Hey, here's my resume. Here's my website," but like it's subtle, and usually it piques their interest right away and they're like, "Oh yeah, like a website, like let me go look at that," and they're super excited about it. I also put my website on my LinkedIn as well. So those are my 3 ways to make your resume stand out. Before you go, one last thing I want to tell you about is my career management checklist. In this career management checklist are 7 tips that I feel really helped and spearheaded my initiative to get a job after college and to be able to work in the industry that I wanted to work in. That sounds like something of interest to you, definitely check it out. It's in the description of this video. It's totally free to download. So yeah, definitely check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Seriously, if there's something you want to see, if there's questions that you want answered, please write it in the comments below. Email me, go to my website, let me know. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, let me know. I really want this to be something that helps people. If you want to keep seeing these videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Monday.